Hakuna Matata. According to Timon and Pumbaa in my all-time favorite Disney movie, The Lion King, the phrase means, no worries for the rest of your days. In the very beginning of the movie, it opens with a bright and beautiful sunrise lighting up the scene and the song The Circle of Life being belted by Elton John. As light continues to spread while the sun gets higher, pretty soon the entire savannah is lit up, starting a new day for the inhabitants of the kingdom of Pride Rock. Similar to the opening of The Lion King, in the beginning of time, God set the scene with light as well. Before, the world had all been chaos and darkness, but as soon as God said, "Let there be light," in Genesis 1:3, the future became much brighter. When God continued creation and went on to make the animals and the first man this world's ever seen, it kicked off humanity's circle of life. Creation started a new history for the world and essentially was the beginning of the distribution of God's word to us, his children. As humans, we all start off born into a world of chaos and darkness, but once we've been taught the word of the Lord and believed that Jesus is the light of the world, we can begin a whole new life of showing the light to others around us. But today, being a Christian light, trying to spread the word, and living a life for Christ while being a teenager in public school can be incredibly challenging. Outside the safety and comfort of our church walls, the world is dim and stuck in a repeating cycle of doom and gloom. Many times I find myself having to make choices against what my non-Christian friends are doing. If we let our minds and hearts become open to the choices of the darkness, it makes us vulnerable to leaving the church completely and no longer listening to the words of our Father in heaven. In The Lion King, Simba is safe and secure in all areas of the land that are touched by light, and he's warned to never enter the areas of darkness. Being a curious young cub, Simba strays against his father's words of wisdom anyway. Of course, Simba gets into trouble and eventually leaves the kingdom completely, forgetting the ways of life that he'd been taught by his father. While around other Christians, it's much easier for me to follow God's word than when I'm surrounded by darkness. My friends who do not know the light of Jesus Christ simply don't understand my commitment as a Christian. John 1:3-5 says, "Through him all things were made. Without him nothing was made that has been made. In him was life, and that life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, but the darkness has not understood it." We're taught in church that once we accept that Jesus is the answer to everlasting life and write upon our hearts the words of God, we may start becoming a light into the darkness around us. In The Lion King, Simba is eventually brought back to Pride Rock by a friend who cares about him and his future. The kingdom is covered with evil, and there's no visible sign of light anywhere. He fights with fellow followers for the way of life they know is good, defeating all evil in the land. Once Simba reassumes the throne, there's a new beginning with him as king, ending the movie, but starting off the next circle of life. As Christians, we are the light that begins the circle and others' walks with God. We are living examples of the Word and its intention for our lives on this earth. So while one day we will surely pass away, the light of Christianity will forever remain until Jesus returns and ends the circle of physical life, but begins the circle of perfect heavenly life. Until then, knowing that Christ is in our hearts, we should not stray or fear because we've been taught and reassured through God's word that our future is bright, so we may truly have Hakuna Matata, no worries for the rest of our days.